When Vango launched AirBeam 10 years ago, finally it was possible for a large family tent to be pitched by just one person and by families with a more limited camping experience. Back in 2011, we launched AirBeam into the market with our Infinity and our Velocity tents. 2012 saw us put an AirBeam tent in space as part of the publicity campaign. And by 2014, we'd expanded the range into a range of several family tents, plus our first driveway awnings. By 2015, we'd updated the valve system, which we've still got in place here with airspeed, giving further improvements to the system. And then fast forwarding a bit into 2019, we introduced villa construction, using the inherent strength and durability of beams to increase the volume inside the tent. And now, 2021, we're launching the next generation of AirBeam, and that is S.I Pro. I'm going to describe 5 key advantages of the S.I Pro system. So advantage number 1 is the automatic isolation of beams. There's a single point of inflation right here, inflated using a hand or electrical pump. And from that single point, each beam is inflated using an automatic non-return valve. Key point there being automatic. The air flows into each beam from a single point, but cannot flow out. Why? Well, if one beam is punctured or opened, the other beams are not affected. The tent remains standing, and we're doing this with a custom designed valve protected by European design registration, and it's AMG property. The valve is hidden from view inside here, as we focused on clean lines and unfussy aesthetics. So advantage 2 is a simple, hassle-free setup. And I hear you, maybe other brands have lockable, fail-safe tubes as well. However, our simple, hassle-free setup means there's no locking off. It's all automatic. You can see along the ceiling here, there's no valves, twist valves, ratchet clips along the ceiling. All of that is part of our automatic valve, and it's hidden from view. Advantage 3 is our easy pack away. Unlike some other brands, we have decided to retain the exit, the deflation valve, on each and every beam along this tent. And that allows air to easily move out of the tubes into the atmosphere using the same roll-away process as you currently do. Open each valve, tent falls down, push the air out by folding to the side and then roll to the front door. Very simple, easy pack away, so that's a third advantage. The fourth advantage of S.I Pro is something called parallel inflation. If we've got, for example, a competitor product, we'd inflate here as per normal, and air would then travel up the beam and then travel into a bracer beam and then travel into another support beam and then into another bracer beam. Think of this in serial, the air goes from beam to beam to beam. However, if there is a kink in the tube when inflating, let's say right here, nothing else inflates because the air cannot travel onto the next beam. S.I Pro is different. In the Vango S.I Pro system, the air goes in here, say as standard, but then goes into a series of different hoses that supply each of the beams in parallel. So let's say there is still that kink here when inflating. This beam will not inflate. Conduit hoses will inflate the other beams at the same time. Just by the shape of those other beams forming, this beam will unfold, unkink, and the whole awning or tent can inflate. And finally, advantage number 5, non-conflict with our current message, which we've had for the last decade. We think about multi-point inflation, what we have been telling everybody about for the last 10 years. If air escapes from one beam, the others are not affected. Each beam can be topped up individually. Each beam has its own deflation point for ease of use and a simple, clean, aesthetically pleasing design. Our new S.I Pro system doesn't intrude on any of that. It doesn't conflict with our current message at all. So, to summarise, automatic isolation of beams, simple, hassle-free setup with no lock-off, easy pack away through specific deflation points, parallel inflation so that if there are any kinks in the tube, they get eased out without manual intervention, and we're not crossing our current message.